Shading using chalk with Mr. G. Today we are going to be imagining that we are on a faraway planet looking out into space, and the landscape is different colors and we can see planets in the background and maybe a moon or two. We'll make it whatever you would like to make it. But first I'm going to show you some techniques with chalk that will make us be able to do a drawing like this. So what I like to do is I start with the side of my chalk and then I press down until I get a nice line, and then as I move along, I'm getting a little bit less pressure on each stroke when I go down. So a little lighter and a little lighter. I bet you all know how to do this just by pushing down first and then getting a little bit lighter and a little bit lighter. And then if you feel like you have to go over it again, you can just go over it a little bit and get a little bit darker. This works with pretty much any color. So today we'll just be using a bunch of different colors. We can do it with yellow, but you can see the technique is always the same pretty much. You can just start light, you can start dark by pressing down and then make it go lighter. And you'll see why we do that once we start doing our drawing. Try some red here too. And you can even do this little technique called scumbling, where you take your chalk and you just do it in little tiny circles, and you can do it lighter and lighter and lighter. You can make little tiny circles. Just like that. And you can get lighter and lighter. Now, what pulls it all together is using a Q-tip. So if we take this and kind of move it along the chalk line, what it does is it smooths out the chalk and ends up giving you the effect of shading, smoothing it out. It's almost like paint. Just kind of smooth it around. You can use a circular motion with this, and that works out really well too. Matter of fact, I think I found that using a circular technique works even better than just going straight across. Just a little tiny circular technique. Then you move down. And we can speed this up a little bit for you, just get to the other section of it. And now we can use our eraser if you want to. And chalk actually does erase. You just have to work at it a little bit harder by going over the same area. And you can see that that erases some of your chalk. Depending on how the quality of your paper, this is easier with the better quality paper. The construction paper that I have, it's not the best. I couldn't find another kind. But it also, if you notice, makes some really kind of cool, neat marks too. You can use your eraser as a painting tool. So we're going to start out probably on the left side. If you're left-handed, maybe you start on the right side, depending on how you feel. And just start making like maybe little mountains. You don't have to copy me exactly, just what you think a mountain would look like in the background. Nice little rolling hills. Go up and down. Just take your time doing this part. Kind of get it to where you think you want it. You can erase chalk, it's just a little bit harder. And then we just do what I started out with when I was demonstrating the shading technique, is we'll do this little bit of what they call scumbling, just to get up to the top of the mountains there, just so you get that part of it colored in, and then just start slowly going around it. And because these are mountains, they don't have to be straight lines or perfect curved lines. So even if you go outside of those lines, it really doesn't matter. This kind of just follows along the mountainside, up and down. And like I said, just take your time doing this. Make sure you're kind of filling in all the spots along the line. So artists do this with pencil, and some of the older kids are working with pencil doing this, but I thought chalk might be a little bit easier for you. It's a little bit easier to handle, a little bit more forgiving. And so, see how I went over the line there? Oops, but it doesn't really matter because we're working with chalk, and These are mountains, so it doesn't really matter. They're out of our imagination. Now we're just going to start filling in a little bit of the lower area. So we're going to use that back and forth technique that I was doing earlier, where you start out light and then or where you start out um, dark and then you kind of loosen your grip, loosen the pressure and make it a little bit lighter. And what you're doing is you're kind of just filling in those mountains, as you can see. And at this point, you can even use the side of your chalk if you want to, and then just kind of go around a little bit like that. That leaves some nice little spaces in there that indicate or just give the illusion that there's some shadow or some rocks there. You can just test out your chalk and see which technique works best for you, the back and forth or the little scumbling. And now that we have that part of it done, we're going to take our Q-tip and then I'm just going to make these small little circular motions with the Q-tip, and that's going to smooth out the top of the mountaintop. So take your time just filling in these little areas with little round circles, and then that smooths out the mountaintop, smooths out the chalk. And this will take a little while. Take your time doing that. Of course, I am speeding up this process now. You can even use your finger a little bit if you get some bigger, broader parts of your drawing. Now we're going to take our yellow, something bright, and then we'll make a little bit of maybe a moon up here or something, since it's a nighttime. And we're going to pretend that that's a really bright moon. So just like we did with our shading our spheres, we're going to do the same kind of thing. We're going to kind of scumble this in like that, but we're going to leave a little bit off to the right side. We're not going to mark that in. And then we can take our Q-tip. Then we can kind of smooth that out. And watch what happens when you get to this area. You still get a little bit of chalk that is on the Q-tip, so it kind of paints that area in. So it's a big bright moon. And now we have to show the moon that's shining on the mountaintops. And it's going to shine on one side of it, like right here. It's going to shine on this side of it. So you just take a little bit of a line, put it on the top of the mountain, and we see it shining on this side over here, but it's not shining on the back side. So anywhere that that light is going to shine on, we'll just put that little light stroke on top of the mountain, and it's going to go over here. So I'm going to put some light on the top of that too. And then maybe right underneath it's going to go straight down. So maybe it's going to cover all of this area, this whole thing. Like that, the top of it, and even that side of it. Down there. Yeah, the light might catch right there too. So now you have some highlights in your mountains. And then you can just take your Q-tip and put that on like that. Now if we had a darker chalk, we would do just the opposite on the opposite side of where the light was, but since we don't really have darker chalk, maybe you've had like a darker red you could put on the other side of the mountains. And then now I'm going to put another little planet here. I think that would be kind of cool. I'm just going to scumble it a little bit, and I'm remembering that there's a shiny moon out there, and I bet that shiny moon is shining on that side of the planet too, so I'm going to remember where the shadow should be, which the shadow should be on the right side then, since the light is coming from the left. See, it's coming from that side, so it's going to be shining on that side there. So we'll make a little bit of a shining light mark there. We'll speed that up just a little bit. Fill that in. And after we fill it in, we can take our Q-tip, smooth it out a little bit. So now that we have that done, it's one of my favorite parts. Just take your white or your yellow chalk and just start kind of dotting around and put some imaginary stars out there. Because I know when we look in the night sky, we see all the things that God has created, and it's beautiful. Maybe put a little star belt right here. That's kind of fun. So now we'll take a different color. You can use blue, you can use a different color for this too. I just like to mix my colors up a little bit. So I'm going to take some blue and just kind of scumble it on the bottom side here. We'll fill that all out. Then we'll take our Q-tip and we'll start smoothing that out. Take your time doing this. We'll just speed it up here so you can see the end result. You can add some rocks in there. You can add maybe some people in there. Who knows? Whatever you would like to. There it is. Finished drawing. Hope you had fun doing this.